In a surprising turn of events, amid rising costs for essentials, it looks like there may finally be a silver lining for Canadian consumers, as wireless prices are on the decline. According to StatsCan, consumer prices for cellular services dropped by a substantial 17.2% in September 2023 compared to the previous year, offering at least some relief to cash-strapped Canadians. Now, while this downward trend in cell phone bills aligns with the Trudeau government's commitment to making wireless services more affordable, there is still a lot of uncertainty on the horizon. Joining us now to provide more insight into this is Brendan Caldwell, Director of Caldwell Securities Limited. Mr. Caldwell, thank you very much for joining us on Forum Daily.
David, great to be here.
Brendan, we've heard that wireless prices are falling. What are your thoughts here?
Well, that's a good thing because Canadians pay more, I'm sure we know, for our wireless data and than virtually any other country on the face of the earth. Mm-hmm. Now, in defense of our telco industry, servicing Canada, we've got 40 million people strung out over the X thousands of miles, is no easy task. But we have had a limited number of options and a fairly regulated market, and the prices that the government has charged for spectrum at the auctions have been fairly high. So it's a lot of factors combined to make for fairly high prices. Probably a better than average service compared to most global setups, but still we do pay a lot. So the fact that prices are coming down, I think, is a really positive thing.
And so today's theme is telecoms. Let's start off with Rogers.
Well, Rogers, I mean, all the telecom companies, their stocks have been under pressure this last while. Rogers, Telus, Bell, they're all down 30 to 40% from their highs of roughly a year and a half ago. But Rogers has been bouncing back the most sharply, largely because they've been doing a better job with the new Canadians market. They've been advertising all over the world. They've been offering packages from new phones to data plans to credit cards to new Canadians to students to seasonal workers. And it's been reflected in the fact they've got the lion's share of new subscriptions over the last while. So if you look at analysts' expectations of the wireless companies, Rogers is consistently rated amongst the highest because, I mean, Canada, everybody has a cell phone that's going to have a cell phone. The way you're going to grow your market is finding new Canadians. The only new Canadians there are new Canadians. So Rogers has been, I think, ahead of its competitors in that area, and I think they've reaped the benefits from that.
And on the note of the competitives, what about Bell?
Yeah, well, I mean, we think about Bell Canada, you think of it as the telephone company, the communications company, but I think it's really been the weakest sister of the bunch. They've tried over the years to diversify into this, into that, into the TV business, but in terms of subscriber base, they have not been growing to the extent that Rogers has, and that's been reflected in the share price. They're off their lows, at least recent lows, but it hasn't had the kind of bounce. So of the two, I think, or of the three, if you're looking at Rogers, Bell, and Telus, Bell seems to be the weak sister.
And on that note, you mentioned Telus. Telus is the third of the big three. Where does Telus stand?
Well, I'm fond of Telus. Don't tell anybody at Rogers, but I actually have a Telus cell phone, and it's worked very well for me both domestically and internationally. So I'm fond of Telus. But again, Rogers has been beating the competition. So if Bell's the weak sister and Rogers is outperforming, Telus is coming in with expectations. So it's been doing well, but not as well as Rogers has. I think, there's a number of factors that are going into lower cell phone prices. And I think there's some interesting things coming up in the future, one of which is the cost of the spectrum. So cell phones, they work across a wireless spectrum, and governments auction off the price of that. So there's new bandwidths coming up. The other thing that's been interesting in the last while has been that as part of the Rogers takeover of Shaw Communications, which was the other big Western competitor, they had to free up Freedom Mobile, which has been acquired by Quebecor. So there's actually now 4 national carriers, which in Canada, which does like its oligopolies very well, where we usually have 2 railroads or 2 airlines. Having 4 carriers should be helpful in bringing down prices.
Well, it's always a pleasure, Brendan. Thank you very much for your time. Stay with us. We'll be right back.